Hey, what's going on, guys? Mike here, back in the aquarium lab with the video you've all been waiting for. Today, I'm finally going to reveal the fish that I picked for the 90-gallon tank. I want to start off by saying thanks again for all your suggestions. They helped out a ton, and I finally think I got the right fish for this awesome new community tank. Guys, do me a favor and leave this video a thumbs up and a comment down below with what you think of the fish that I decided to go with. Let's just get right into checking them out. Before I show off the fish, let's give a quick update here on the 90 because it's changed a bit since you guys saw it last. I ended up moving a few things around. I wouldn't call it a rescape or anything. I just thought about it some more and decided to shift a few plants around, as well as moving the centerpiece driftwood about 6 inches more to the right, which was a huge pain. I feel like the scape now has a little bit more long-term potential. There's still a few spots that I need to tweak as time goes on, but I'm pretty happy with it so far. Not related to aquascaping, I decided to tighten up tank security by adding just a piece of glass for the front as well as some egg crate here for the back. I propped it up like this just because it sends off some glare that the camera doesn't like. I used this in the back instead of glass because I had to make some room for the filter intake as well as the filter itself, which hangs inside of the rim quite a bit. The crate is really easy to customize, and because it's pretty much out of sight here, I didn't paint it black like I've done in the past. Having a glass lid on your tank is something that I generally never do, but because my LED fixture here is so thin, I felt like it was warranted. Alright, I just wanted to get that stuff out of the way. Let's go back in time about a week and add the new fish. So I ended up breaking one of my rules for this tank and picked out some rainbows. Not just any rainbows though. The first edition was 6 Dwarf Cichlids rainbows that are almost fully grown as you see them here, at about 2 inches. I didn't feel too bad about breaking my rule because these fish are really awesome, and since they're considerably smaller than the other rainbows I keep, I felt like it was pretty justified. The next fish that I added was 6 blue marble swordtails. I haven't had these fish in forever, and I felt like they would add some really nice color to the tank. You guys know that I can't go to the LFS without getting some new plants, so of course I came home with about 9 stems of Hygropenitophyta. A few of which I did end up putting in this tank just to see what would happen. So this is all I ended up getting from my first trip to the fish store for a few reasons. One, I thought it would be nice to start slow. I didn't want to risk adding everything at once, but the main reasons why was because I was super conflicted with what to stock in this tank. Even with all your suggestions, I was having a really hard time envisioning what to put in here. By far the most requested fish were Dwarf Cichlids. I'm sorry to disappoint, I didn't end up picking out any for this tank, but I do have something special planned that all you cichlid enthusiasts are really going to appreciate, so stay tuned. I acclimated the new fish in the same way I showed you how to do in a previous video that I'll link in the description just in case you missed it. It wasn't until 2 days later that I came back from the fish store with the rest of the fish. I was thinking about waiting a couple weeks, but I knew I couldn't disappoint you guys and force you to wait that long. I got 8 bleeding heart tetras, which was a highly recommended fish by you guys. I paid a little extra to get some larger ones. In fact, they end up being the largest fish in this tank, and I think they're going to be really great as a slow-moving mid-tank dweller. I also got some Harlequin rasboras, 12 of them to be exact. I think these fish are going to be really nice due to their reddish pink color, and hopefully they'll really pop here in this tank. Next up is 7 scissortail rasboras. These are a fairly plain fish, but have really cool yellow and black accents on their caudal fins. These fish I think go perfect for the last group of fish, which is a school of 7 Pristella tetras. They have similar colorations to the scissortails, but on their dorsal fins. Based on that, I think these fish are going to end up meshing pretty well together, especially if they decide to school next to each other. The final addition was a baby Boesemani Rainbow fish that I had hiding out in my mess of a shrimp tank. I felt like he was finally big enough to add to the mix, so he made the cut. Now, adding all these fish more or less at once can pose some risks. Mainly that if the filter and overall system is not at a capacity to convert all the ammonia produced by the fish, then we're going to have a big problem. If I was just adding, say, 12 Harlequin rasboras to the tank, it wouldn't be that big of a deal because they're all really small, don't produce a lot of waste, and this 90-gallon tank is also big enough to dilute any harmful ammonia they might produce if the system isn't cycled. But remember, I have been keeping my ammonia and nitrite oxidizers alive and well by consistently adding ammonia and checking my nitrogen compounds every few days just to make sure. Because I'm adding so many fish in this case, I am going to be extra careful and check the ammonia and nitrite concentrations daily for the next week. I'm not feeding these guys a ton, and I don't think there's going to be any issues here, but it's always better to err on the side of caution, especially when you're adding hundreds of dollars of fish. With that being said, let's take a closer look at these fish hanging out in their new digs. At first, the Maculacais along with the Rasboras would hide up here at the top left corner, while the Bleeding Hearts liked it down here at the bottom middle. Pretty much all the fish, with the exception of the swordtails, weren't displaying much color, but this, along with the hiding behavior, is super common for the first few days after introducing new fish. Not a surprise, a few days later, everyone seemed to be finding their niche and looked a lot better. No issues with ammonia as I suspected, and overall I'm really happy with the community so far. Thanks once again for helping select these fish. I really appreciate it, and make sure to stay tuned for fish profiles on all of these fish in the next few months. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, and head over to Facebook and Instagram for some daily fish tank stress relief. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.